Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Nanette Nolan, and I'm the 33rd District PTA Director of Membership. I will be sharing some resources with you that are largely going to focus on the training aspect of membership. So, there are some detailed recordings and resources out there for things like marketing your PTA, just being a PTA leader, PTA finance, electronic membership, but this one will largely cover the planning aspect. I'll share some additional resources with you. And a lot of the resources I'll be pulling from are from the capta.org website, which is California State PTA website, as well as the pta.org website, which is the national PTA website. And my primary aim is just to get you ready for the next several months as you take on your role. So if we think about membership like we do our fitness or health, you know that you simply can't go to the gym once or run a mile and consider yourself fit, right? We have to think about membership as a long, continuous process. In today's training, I'm going to not cover every single thing that you're going to need to know. So I repeat that. I will not be covering every single thing you'll need to know. And I can assure you that there's probably not a lot of trainings out there that aren't hours long that would cover everything you would want to know. So I hope that I'm kind of managing expectations there. I will share recorded trainings and resources with you, but I also want you to think about your role and what you have to do right now to be in shape for the next several months. And I will also be sending mini trainings throughout the year, so I'm hoping that those are also useful resources and kind of served up for just in time needs. So before we dig into training, I want to make sure that everyone has the same understanding of the terms and some of the basic responsibilities for your role. So first, you have the unit. That's the item at the bottom. I know it seems like it should have been flipped, right? Probably, which is essentially your school's PTA. So my kids went to North High School in Torrance, and they were members of the North High School PTA. Council is the leadership group that supports your unit with training, communication, collecting reports, data from your unit, and they also work across your school district, usually, right? So, for instance, if you're a member of Perry and Redondo, your unit is supported by the Redondo Beach Council PTA. Um, which brings me to the district PTA, which is kind of a tricky one to explain because the name district means something different to a lot of us. At 33rd District PTA, we support dozens of councils and nearly 300 units in a section of Southern California. You see, California State PTA is large and it's broken up into districts, and we happen to be number 33. So we provide training, mentoring, communication, and also collect information to send to state PTA. We're also often the link between the California State PTA and the councils and units. So when we refer to district, we're actually referring to the 33rd District PTA. Otherwise, we try to say school district when we're referring to your actual school district. I promise it gets less confusing over time. Not every unit has a council. Some are out of council or OOC, and they use the district PTA as their leadership group in place of a council. So if at any point I'm talking and council does not apply to you because you're out of council, just in your mind say, she means district PTA for us. We are all a part of the California State PTA as members. They support all units, councils, and districts in California with training and resources, and we are also members of the National PTA, which supports all things PTA across the United States. And one quick thing to know about all PTAs is we are all 501(c) nonprofit associations. So beyond being volunteers, we're also members of and leaders within nonprofit organizations. How cool is that? As mentioned, we are all leaders within our nonprofit organizations, and our members make up our association. The association, as we call it, has a final say on all things like budget, spending, approval of new board and chairs, i.e., elections and ratifications, contracts, and more. So we hold meetings with our association a few times a year. We also have a working group that you belong to, which is either your board of directors or maybe it's called your executive board or something along those lines. This is the working group that runs the programs and fundraisers and brings all of those things that I just mentioned in front of your association for the periodic review and approval. So you may also have bylaws and standing rules. Not you may, you do. You have bylaws and standing rules, which tell you who can be on your board, when your meetings are, both your association and your board meetings, and a lot about your membership dues and collections. So standing rules are really specific to your unit. and can get really into the weeds about your details. So, maybe if you guys are storing something in a closet or a cupboard, or, who maintains what, you'll find that in the standing rules. It's kind of like the, yeah, handbook for your own specific unit. Dues, so that's the money collected per member. So the dues are simply the amount of money a person pays to have a membership annually. And this is determined by your bylaws. So it can be changed, but it is a long process. So you simply can't decide to increase your dues willy nilly. No one on your board can. And there's a full on bylaws review process and approval process that is several months long. So I want you to check and know where your bylaws are, have a copy, and know what you're supposed to charge, and make sure that all of your material reflects that accurately. As a membership chair, you'll hear the term remit and through channels and funds not belonging to a unit a lot. When a person joins PTA at your unit, they're joining your unit plus the council and district and state and national. And so a portion of what you collect goes to those PTAs as well. Each month, your financial team needs to forward or remit a portion of the dues listed in the bylaws to your council or district if you're out of council. So, for example, if you have a $10 per due or per member dues, as many schools do, you keep about $4 and the rest goes to council. And then they take their portion and then they send a check up to district, who takes their small portion and sends it up to state and then on to national. I'll elaborate in a moment on why that is, but I want to hit our last vocabulary word, which is totem. So that's the electronic membership tool used by many of our units to electronically collect dues, and it does all the splitting for you. So it is an official California State PTA tool. No, they do not. they No one's getting paid for that. We use it, and we have a partnership with the company that's built this for us. And not all units use this tool, or maybe they use it, but they also use a variety of other tools. That's all good. We're not covering totem in depth here on this call because or this training because we don't have a lot of time to cover every single thing. And as I said before, there is a really good full length training on totem alone. But if anyone ever needs one-on-one training, you can always reach out to your council or myself. And if you need help getting started on totem, I'm totally here for you and happy to help you do that. Members are vital, right? So without members, we simply don't have a PTA. Members are the driving force behind our volunteer base, our current and future leaders. They can be engaged advocates and partners, and they are the voice of our families and our students and our school community at large. Membership, I should say, is not a fundraiser, but the funds that we do raise across every level of PTAs are used in important ways. So at your school, you take every dollar raised and you fund field trips, science and music programs, and more. At the council and district level, the dues remitted fund things like educational webinars, homeless student programs to support low-income families, grants, scholarships, training. At the state and national level, their portion of dues support their advocacy efforts in a pretty major way. And they also use the money to support the many programs that in turn support our units, our families, and our schools. So every single dollar, every single cent is used, and members are at the very center of that. So yeah, every single member has a deep and profound impact, not just on their student, but of all of our children and families here in California and throughout the United States. It's pretty powerful when you think about it. One last bit of important information before we dive into the actual training, I promise. Some things I think that are really important for you to kind of think about as you're like, what is my role going to actually entail? What are the actual logistics? First, I'd like you to try to secure a copy of your current bylaws. So that might be from your predecessor, that could be from your incoming president, that might be from the outgoing president. But getting a copy, every board member and chair should have a copy of the bylaws. And be sure to check the dues and make sure all your materials reference the correct dollar amount. Again, it's a long process, and to change dues, you can't simply do it without updating your bylaws. So be sure to get a procedure book from your predecessor and hopefully meet with them. This should, I hope, include past flyers, events, contests, contact information, you name it, maybe your past budget. One other great resource, if for instance, maybe the procedure book is missing or you're just not getting a lot of helpful information, California State PTA Toolkit and the National PTA's membership tools are actually pretty helpful. Again, that's capta.org and pta.org. And you can search for membership, and their tools are pretty out there and ready for you. So if you're ever stuck or you can't find what you need, you can also reach out to your past chair, your president, a board member, especially if you have a very seasoned board, um, your council, or me, of course. Um, you're also expected to have your unit remit monthly, but you won't start that until like the fall. So if you're using Totem, that's handled automatically for you. It does it once a month. It kind of collects the cash and then distributes it to the various people, and it keeps track of it in a neat little report. But if you're collecting money like cash, check, electronic payment through like PTZ, Cheddar Up, Member Planet, one of those, PayPal, um, you'll need to collect and track those and then connect with your financial team, making sure they know what the right amount of membership is. So think of it like this. Each month membership will come in, you'll count it with, using the financial procedures that are outlined for your board, for all PTAs, I should say. And then once that's deposited, your financial team will be able to reconcile that with the number you have. So you guys may be off a member or two in any given month, but for the most part, you should be very, very close. And at the end of the school year, your term, you should be spot on. So you're just trying to remind them, hey, we got 5 members, we got 2 members, we got 50 members. Let's make sure we're remitting that to council or again to district. So even though you're not writing the checks, you're definitely an integral part of kind of making sure that everything's running smoothly. I will also say that you work really, really hard. You're going to work your buns off this year, and you want to get credit for the things that you're doing. So by remitting monthly, that is what allows council and district and state to know that you actually did the challenge on time or met the criteria by a certain set date. Because again, it has to go through channels. So you have to kind of build in extra time in your calendar. You know, when you write the check to council, they need to write the check to district, who then needs to write, and it doesn't happen all in one day. So you've got to think ahead on like the process. So make sure that you're just, staying on top of your membership counting and turn in and deposits and all that good stuff, and working closely with your financial team each month to make sure that you get the credit you deserve for all the work that you guys have been doing. We'll also host contests most months, like 100% teachers, 100 members in 100 days, and we will provide councils with information about these, but you usually do have a form to complete. And again, remitting on time is pretty important if you want to qualify for some of these awards and incentives. Um, and you'll also want to share any California State PTA or council provided incentives with your members as well, so that they kind of know what kind of value they're getting or bonus or benefit they're getting from being a member. So, and you can also consider holding your own contest or special awards or goodies for members. And you may also want to keep track of your members in a roster. Your council may have a request on how they want this done, but if they don't, then Excel spreadsheet works just as good, or Google Sheets. Um, you'll have a roster that's within Totem, and if you have an email address for everybody that you collect a membership from outside of Totem, you can add them. However, right now I think it's just adding it by one, which can be pretty tedious, but some units do that and find it to be really helpful so that it's all in one place. And it's cloud-based, so they can access it anywhere at any time as long as they can just log in. And think about what you want to do throughout the year. So if you're doing class run contests, then making sure that you have, a place where you're collecting information on, the student's room or grade level, as you're trying to run those contests. So you'll want to keep your roster up to date and have a copy handy when you go into your association meetings. So that's usually in the fall, like September, maybe, or October. You might have one in December. You may have another one in February, and then one maybe in April or May. So making sure that you keep your rosters up to date always is a good idea, but as you come up to the association meeting. And it's really important when you're forming your nominating committee, because they must be members, and for your nominating committee to have a copy of your roster as they're soliciting for potential candidates for the slate of nominees for the following year. So membership is pretty important. Um, and remember that membership numbers will need to be reported monthly to your board at the meeting, as long as along with anything you have been up to, like planning. You have to get approval for, um, anything that you're doing or anticipate doing, especially if you're planning money or resources, making sure that your board is looped in and they sign off on that. And at the first couple of meetings, harassing and making sure that every single board member has a renewed membership. They need that in order to vote, in order to actually do the work on behalf of your PTA. So you can, as of July 1, start getting in front of them and reminding them that they can jump onto Totem if you have it and renew. So that might be a really big imperative for the first meeting or so. Um, what do we have? Okay, now we get into the meat and potatoes. So I want to focus on four key areas of membership today in our training. First, we have to think about who we're trying to reach, why it matters, and why we're developing messages and call to action, and how those affect different people. Then we'll talk about a year-long plan and how to set your goals. Then we'll dive into how membership can bridge, your all members of your school community, and why membership is essential. And then we'll also talk about resources to help you grow your knowledge and skills throughout the year. So, again, there's probably no amount of training I could have given you in an hour that would provide you with everything you need to know. The hope is that you continue to build upon your knowledge as you come to new stages of your membership. So, before you can start telling people why membership matters, you want to first think about who makes up your school community: parents, guardians, teachers, staff, extended family, alumni, community members, and of course, our students. What motivates one person does not motivate others. So, you have to really think about the variety of reasons why people may or may not join PTA, and you know why it might matter to them. So not everyone even knows what a PTA is. You really have to spell out what your PTA does for students. Do you fund educational programs, art programs, run the library, pay for field trips? If you don't know, you can ask your board for help or look at your unit's budget, and you can use the program line items to help you kind of develop that list. And then understand that people may not be in a position to join right now or think that they don't have enough money to make a difference. Let people know where the money goes. A portion stays at your school, and a very small portion goes on to fund advocacy and resources at the national, state, district, and council PTAs. Focus on your school's efforts by letting them know that every single penny goes back to supporting children. Another challenge might be that people don't think um, they don't want to join your board, or they don't want to volunteer, and so they're afraid that getting a membership basically means that they have to do something. So let them know that obviously there's not a lot required of them, but do encourage them to volunteer, and definitely let them know that their membership basically grants them a voice and entitles them to ask questions and be a part of PTA in a meaningful way as well. For others, many of the membership perks or maybe contests might be the motivator. And, I'm not judging that. Some families may decide to purchase membership because they want, their student to win the prize, or their class to win the, pizza party or whatever it is. So sometimes that, is quite honestly a motivator. For some people, they may have concerns about whether or not your PTA wants or needs them. So I'll touch on this bit more later. But for membership, please do remember that membership is for everyone. I will say that again, membership is for everyone. And it's important that you consider all of this as you're starting to kind of plan your messaging. Uh, I want you to think about this. Good planning really starts with good data. So making sure that you connect with your principal and asking about like languages spoken and any other kind of helpful demographic information that he or she can provide. And also ask if you guys have resources internally at the school for translation. If your school has groups for English language learners or cultural groups, support groups, reach out to them and ask them for their insight and partnership. Having conversations with other families, teachers, and staff can also provide a wealth of information. So, if they're not joining, why aren't they joining? What's important to them? How or what can PTA do to support them and their students and families? Start thinking about how you'll reach out to all members. Are there groups of people who traditionally don't participate? If so, why is that, and how can we engage them? Now, you may be asking yourself right about now, what does this have to do with membership? I thought I was just running a drive in the fall or something. Well, because membership is valuable and it is a full year effort, your role is more than just an email or a forum or a single event. It's about a relationship. It's about lots of relationships, actually, and being a voice on your board that keeps speaking for members and shouting from the rooftops the importance of growing membership. So plan to be out at as many school events as possible, putting your unit's message out there and reminding families that they can and should be a part of that too. As we look at goal setting, before we really get into our plans, it's important to really have an idea of what your past membership numbers were. If you don't have those, your council should or may. I also have a copy of everybody in 33rd districts past, I think, 5 or 6 years. You can always track me down if maybe people are having trouble locating that. Uh, planned have a plan for how you're going to keep track of your members. Again, Google Sheets or something. Is your council instituting something like a shared Google Drive? Know who your members are, again, who's joined, and set some goals. If you've had only 50% of teachers in past, maybe shoot for 100% this year, 75%. If you've never had community members, maybe consider having 10. Maybe trying to increase your renewals or alumni. So really kind of starting to think about who and how you can really drive membership and where you can really see those gains. Your plan will largely include, well, let me back up. First of all, a lot of us, myself included, may often operate as a lone wolf PTA leader, right? So we are a committee of one, if at all possible. And I do encourage this because, again, membership is such a big deal and such a big lift. Trying to form a membership committee. So speak with your board, about forming one. Try to find people outside of your board. Again, if we're trying to attract people, maybe looking for other people in your community who aren't already deeply involved in PTA, asking them to help with some of the administrative stuff, some of the marketing, some of the idea generation, maybe your welcoming committee. We'll get into that in a second. Um, and then develop a plan with your president, your principal, and the committee. So successful campaigns often have a theme. This may be your president's theme, but it could also be a separate theme that membership comes up with. And it's kind of fun if you, especially if you're at the elementary level, I especially love, but students of all ages tend to like themes and puns. And you can really get creative with some of like the incentives and prizes and games and that sort of thing and contests that you run. Um, Set goals. So we've talked about that. So a goal could be to increase membership by a certain percentage over last year's total, or again, 100% teachers. Um, and then develop a fun aspect to your campaign. So when you have a theme, you can think about the incentives again that kind of go along with it. Develop a budget. So you guys may have already, if you were now in May, it's likely that maybe your association's already seen and voted on a preliminary budget. So find out where that budget is. If you don't have a copy of it, see if you have a project line item and for your membership expenses and incentives. If you don't, at your next board meeting, have a plan at the ready with dollar amounts, estimates in there and your kind of justification, and put it in front of the board for a vote. And then at your association back in the fall, you guys will be able to vote on that and move forward. So, again, develop the budget. And the cost for that could include things like materials, like printing. If you're not printing at your school, printing is very expensive. Any campaign promotions, if you're doing banners, if there's incentives or a contest or awards or anything like that, make sure that you have that sorted out with your team. Also, we do recommend that you try to create a kind of membership calendar. So being aware of when your council and district due dates are is going to be important because you're going to want to, again, back that up a little bit so you have time to implement and execute and collect money and count money and deposit money, in order to qualify for those things. So you may not see the final calendars from council or district until maybe close to the fall, maybe late part of the summer. But you can always look at the past couple of years calendars that maybe your president might have at the ready, and use that as an idea. You have a rough general idea of when like back to school is, or when your school starts, or when you guys take breaks, or things like that. So start building out that kind of rough draft right now, and then really think about how you're going to reach all of your prospective members. So again, there is a marketing training which I will provide you, which is pretty good, and will help you kind of think about all those strategies. And please remember that membership campaign plans must be approved by your board, um, and that you have to be reporting constantly every month on your progress, and the upcoming activities at each board meeting. So that's pretty important. As we think about our year-round planning, once you have your data and you know who your potential members are, think about your game plan. This is really really important, including your summertime registration drives that are just about kicking off. Um, and do you guys have any new family activities or new welcome orientations, anything like that? Stuff for maybe freshmen? Where else can basically membership and your PTA be visible? In a little while, I'll be sharing some planning tools that you can use now to start mapping your plan. But as you build out that plan, think about the following items. Consider having a welcoming committee. So this is a group of folks on your board or not on your board, or maybe a combination thereof, who are asked to greet all family members on your campus and at school events. So people manning the doors, saying hello and howdy to every single person that walks through, and trying to make be helpful and make small talk, making people feel comfortable, like if they were guests in your home, right? Continue to remind folks that what PTA does. So we can tell them once, but let's be honest, we're going to have to probably remind them many times over when we do cool stuff for the students and school. And think about ways that you can make membership easy. So not everybody has a check or cash on them. So, are there ways for them to quickly sign up? Maybe that's a totem thing. Avoid PTA lingo. So just like I started off at the start of this training, kind of going through some of the common terms and lingo, try to keep it simple for families. We want them to feel like they understand what's happening, and so it's really important that we're speaking with a common language and using the terms that they would understand, and trying to avoid acronyms. Have a membership desk at every single PTA event, um, and non-PTA events, school events. Pitch the incentives. There are perks that are, to being a member, discounts to the California PTA and National PTA, and sometimes your council might even have some that are specific to your city. So make sure you know about the due dates for various council and district and state PTA contests. Again, they're 100% teachers, growing memberships in a given month, hitting a 5-year high, 100% of your school enrollment, and the like. So now we're going to get on to the planning tools. Let me go behind here. So there's two pieces, two templates I will share. One is, let me try to pull this up, is the California State PTA's membership goal setting and strategy plan. So this is kind of helpful. It references 2020, but obviously drop in your dates. But this is kind of cool. It tells you maybe what your past year's membership looked like, and then you can build from there. So it's kind of nice to see when your membership ebbs and flows, on the months, like let's say January through June, when membership really dwindles. Can you make sure that you have 10 every month? Is there something that you can do to increase by any percentage monthly? So again, what are your goals? What do you want to do? What are some strategies to get there? I love this because it's kind of asking you to think about your school community and kind of your game plan. So I love that. I think this is helpful. And then it kind of takes you in a month by month view of, each month, what can you do? So again, we know that school starts back for a lot of us in August and September, back to school nights. Maybe there's a family event planned. Maybe you guys as a PTA want to do like a family ice cream social or something to really just welcome the community back to on campus, I hope. In October, maybe there's something you do around the holidays. And when I say holidays, I want us to be very thoughtful and inclusive, not just the ones that you see often on Hallmark greeting cards, but thinking about every single holiday that we can celebrate and love. If you're not sure what those are, look at the National PTA's calendar. They include, Hindi holidays, they include Muslim holidays, they include Jewish holidays. They have really cool ones that talk about kind of what kind of appreciation or recognition month it is. So, really seeing how you can kind of bring that into your messaging, I think, is also um, a good idea. So, anyhow, this is largely how this goes, and then some strategies that kind of give you an idea about things you might want to do. This is kind of the low hanging fruit. um, Brainstorming, again, if you have a committee, which I hope you do, a brainstorming worksheet. So barriers, why people don't join, why they don't renew. So I really, really like this. I think this kind of gives you a lot of um, ideas and some space to really think about and ask yourselves like the questions that are going to help you get the answer. So I love this. Um, And then the other piece I wanted to show you, kind of that goes with your game plan. This is your marketing plan. So that other one was talking about goals and strategies. This one will help you kind of focus on like awareness and the people behind the messaging, right? So asking yourselves these questions. I won't read them out here because we've already discussed them. But as you go further down, again, thinking about what your elevator pitch is, meaning what does your PTA do succinctly? What does your PTA do for your students and school community? And then you have a space here that kind of allows you to elaborate on some of the key messaging. And then if you scroll down, they give you some really smart examples that you probably can steal. So, orientation, back to school, what do you do before, after, few weeks into, what are some ways that you can reach out, the medium, basically the marketing channel, right? Um, and I would say too, it's really, really important for you to figure out how you can reach people. So, what's at your disposal? Do you guys have a website, social media? Who's in charge of that? What is the approval process? Who needs to get the first draft before you can post something? How often can you post? So, just having that discussion early and baking that into your plan. So these are, I think, very helpful. It doesn't cover everything. As you can see, it kind of jumps from November through May. So you're still expected to fill in the blanks, but it does kind of get you through, at least I would say, the first, month or two of the school year. So um, I would say these two pieces are pretty invaluable. And there's one additional resource I want to share with you that I think is also quite brilliant. Um, the National PTA has this very robust membership toolkit where it kind of covers all the stuff we just spoke about. Apologies. Um, Including like the purpose of PTAs and the importance of themes, messaging. I love that. And it gets into like the elevator pitch. So, more on that, how you support your themes with proof points. So if you say that you support education, how do you support education? If you support advocacy, how do you support advocacy? If you're supporting STEM, how do you do that? So I love that they give you some kind of quick pointers that you can pull in and make your own. So please do read through that. I would read through all of it, honestly, because I think it might really help you better understand and deepen your understanding of PTA. FAQs and talking points. So we kind of talked about why people don't join or what the misconceptions are. I think this is really great. Why should you join PTA? Where does their money go? This one always hits me a little hard. Isn't PTA a social club for stay-at-home moms? Ouch. I've met a lot of stay-at-home parents through PTA who are incredible and work their buns off, and I swear they work harder than I do with a full-time job and as a PTA leader. But I get that, from the outside, some of our PTAs can seem quite cliquey and very familiar, and even well-intentioned boards that maybe have been, a team for a while may seem a bit closed off to other people and like we're insiders and they're not. So addressing the elephant in the room is really, really important, and thinking about how people may rightfully or wrongly see your board allows you to think about that, make changes, and find ways to address that with people who are maybe turned off. Um, how do we ensure that a PTA represents every child? So we talk about, how we serve all families and all students, and it should be all families and all students. And if it isn't, then that's also kind of another, red flag that we need to do something different. So I love this. I think this is just so smart. They give you some marketing materials, things you can steal, some links, this little checklist on how to bring this all together. I think that's so smart. Again, like that this really just is kind of consistent with what we've just been talking about. And then down here, just some quick samples of pitches that you can make via letter or email. So I hope that these are helpful. I thought that they were really, really smart, and I just loved it. And I think it's going to be helpful, especially, it doesn't matter if you've been doing this a while, maybe stumbled along, we all kind of do, or if you find that you're brand spanking new and just don't know where to start. I feel like that plan alone is golden. So as I mentioned before, not all people are the same, right? You look at who's traditionally joined your PTA and who makes up your board, and you ask if there are people who are missing. Um, for instance, do you have people who are on your board who identify as male? For a lot of our PTAs, it's still very female centric. So, what can we do to bring more men into our board? What about parents or guardians who have students with special needs? Making sure that all of our PTA events and activities and school events too, are accessible to all students in a way that's important for them, um, is something we should be asking ourselves. But you can't really know that unless maybe you speak with and have people who can give you insight into what having a child with special needs means. What about non-native English speakers? How our PTA materials, I'm guilty of it too, are largely English speaking focused. A majority of our boards probably do speak English. Now, if you happen to be on a board where it's flipped and maybe the majority of your board speaks Spanish, then maybe your challenge is to how do you bridge that so that you have English speakers also on the board, and vice versa. So what about people of color or single parents and guardians? They can provide a new way of looking at what we're doing and help us grow membership, engage families, and support our students. So it's important to be welcoming and to really go the extra mile to interact with people so that who we don't normally speak with. Asking people to join or be a part of your community directly is a really powerful tool. I myself don't often sign up for things that come to everybody, but if approached one-on-one, like an email, a text, a phone call, an in-person conversation, it's really hard to say no. And I will tell you, it makes me feel wanted. And that's what we want, is we want everyone to feel wanted, seen and wanted. Words do matter. So even though your role is about driving membership, you are also an advocate for your members. We know that students are raised by parents as well as step parents, siblings, family guardians, foster parents. So let's try and make sure that all of our outreach, even the stuff that you don't produce, reflects this. It's not really a big change to refer to parents and guardians or students instead of children. So don't be afraid to be the link and the one who raises the flag for your families and is that voice within your unit leadership. You're on the front lines having those conversations, and as membership chairs, we can be the ones who bring back the ideas and that feedback. And as we build out the incentives in the member events, thinking about accessibility and how we can engage all members and make sure that they all feel like they can be a part of it is really important. So, how do we do that, right? So, we've got this really cool tool that I also came across that I loved, which is let's see if I can pull that up. Give me one moment. This 125 ways to increase membership. I love this. I think it is so smart. Let me see if I can close that. There we go. Um, 125 ways to increase membership. I dig this. These ideas are very simple. Every member gets a member current challenge current members to share PTA value and ask other members to join. Some of the stuff is in person and virtual, or just virtual or great for in person. They provide some hyperlinks to videos and tools that they have. I love that. This is from the National PTA website. And again, I will share this with you as well. And you can also find this by, probably looking up 125 ways when you go to pta.org. I love that they have ideas that are specific to being welcoming and open, to teachers and staff and administrators, for students, for community engagement. I appreciate that they have a section that talks about diversity. It's a kind of a nice mix, some fun communications ideas. This is great celebrations, offerings, and drawings. And what I also think is great, that if you ever get a little bit of pushback, and I hope that you never do, that you can say, if you pluck these ideas out of the National PTA playbook, you say, actually, National PTA recommended this. Yeah, we can do it because National PTA said we could do it. So I sometimes think we get hung up on whether we can do a contest or an incentive or an award, and or whether something seems like best practice. When you say National PTA said that we can, and you have proof right in front of you in black and white, I think that that's really powerful. And so I would encourage you to really look through this and highlight the things that you want to try, knowing that you can't try it all. Pitching some of this stuff to your principal and president early on to try to get their buy-in. I love these. Hosting a back to school dinner or social, see if a restaurant would cater for free. Tickets for the event can include family entry and a PTA membership. Love that. Just love that. So again, this is a really cool little tool, a hidden gem, I think. So then let's get back to the show, shall we? So growing your skills and your knowledge, kind of the last leg of this is what I would say is that as a professional, a PTA leader, you are constantly going to be growing your skills as you learn new things, learn more about your role in PTA, your school community. It's so vital to continue the training, the learning. You're going to do this training hopefully now when you're just taking your role in, May, June. But you're going to be offered training again in August or September and maybe October. Take those trainings. Even if you feel like you've got a handle on what you're doing, you're going to guarantee learn something new. There's always going to be ways that you can contribute and also share back to your peer group. There are periodic roundtables, so don't forget to do that. I put peer groups in here because I think that this is one that is untapped. If you belong to a unit of, well, we all belong to units, right? But if you're, I apologize for the dogs in the background. Ugh, now it's recorded here for forever. So for your peer groups, if you are, let's say, a unit membership chair, find other unit membership chairs. You can ask your council to put you in touch with them, or the district to put you in touch with a few, and have this cohort that you can ask questions of. What are they doing that you haven't done? What you're doing that you think is successful that they may have find valuable, and share those learnings, because you guys are boots on the ground right here, right now. And it's so important that you guys, as we're coming into this post-COVID world where families are coming back and maybe they don't know us and we don't know them, and our PTA doesn't know all the teachers and teachers don't know us. There's been a lot of change over 3 years, and so we have to kind of rebuild our knowledge, our base of leaders, our base of volunteers, our base of support, and leaning on your fellow membership comrades is really going to be, I think, a real win for everybody. So I encourage you to get out there and kind of stay in touch with your peers and really take what they're learning and use that. Other resources that are there, your district. So again, here at the 33rd District, we are always here to support our councils and units. Your council is also, again, if you have one, is really the leadership team that's going to support you. There are tons of handouts. Again, I will be attaching these in the link to the YouTube that I'm producing. Then we have this page that is on the 33rd PTA, and I'm just basically pulling these resources from the California State and National PTA's website. And again, there's a whole treasure trove there of content, material, items in multiple languages. It's great. And the planning tools and any shareable content that they provide, feel free to share that. They have really great pitch decks that explain the value of PTA better than I ever could, truthfully. And then before we end the training today, I just wanted to kind of leave you with this quickie checklist of what you can do right here, right now. So in summary, as we think about what do you do over the next couple of months to really be in a ready position to like be on top of your game in the fall. Meet with last year's chairperson. If they're unavailable, maybe meeting with a knowledgeable board member who maybe helped, a president. If, again, that's not accessible, reach out to council. They may be able to really help you understand like what your role is and how to really guide you through that. Find out what worked and what didn't. One caveat is that I don't have to tell you, but 2020 to 2022 have been very different. We haven't been on campus, most of us. We haven't really been able to do things as we once have. So the your predecessor, um, predecessor? Yeah, your predecessor may not have may not have enough information for you to form a full-on in-person game plan. So seeing if you can find past game plans might be helpful, but it's also just as important for you to think about, where do you want to take your unit in the membership efforts, and what kind of things do you want to try that are different, exciting, and new. Form a membership committee. Again, that could be a committee of 2 or 3 people, but enlist folks, because ideally it'd be great to have somebody want to step into your chair role or your VP or director role once you're kind of done. And it's a great way to bring in new people into the group as well. Meet with your president elect and your principal early, trying to kind of get the groundwork, ask your questions, put out your plan, see how you can enlist their support. They're going to be your advocates. Start your planning now. So again, looking at that calendar, the budget, your strategies, starting to ask the questions about who your members should be, who belongs in your school community, and how do you attract them, starting to have those conversations and coming up with plans for how you're going to be everywhere all the time with membership goodness. Inquire with your council or district about membership cards. So if you have not seen membership card information, you don't even know what I'm talking about, ask your president. And if they don't know what you're talking about, reach out to your council or district and we can help you get those ordered. That kind of happens now so that you have them ready when you're doing membership cards, or if you're doing membership cards, we hope that you are, in the fall. And if you need envelopes, we also do provide those as well at cost. And then if there were any perks or contests. So I believe the California State PTA just sent a newsletter. If you're not getting those, you can go and sign up for those at capta.org. And they send out periodic updates on the membership perks. You can also go and look for those perks at the national and state PTA's websites. They haven't announced any new ones for the coming term, but a lot of them do kind of roll over to the next year. And we don't have any information, not at the district level and not at the state level yet, on contests. I expect probably that'll be coming in another month or two. I also want you to focus right now on your back to school activities. Again, do you guys have any family days, nights, events planned in the summer or in the fall? What is your registration drive going to look like? Is there an opportunity for you guys to be a part of that? Oftentimes PTA do supply volunteers to kind of help run those events. What about membership? Always ask that question, what about membership? And then make time to review now and over the next couple of months. Pace yourself, time to review your membership resources and really start kind of like becoming familiar with all the things in your toolkit. Again, this is really meant to be kind of a quick planning training, but there are some excellent resources when you're ready to get into the nitty gritty. The marketing one covers all of the great ideas you're going to want to use for your PTA, and I encourage your entire board to see that. It's also really important for you to know how, the totem tool works if you're using that. And I'm also here as a resource. So if you ever find that you have questions, and maybe your counsel, or again if you don't have counsel, is unsure, you can always reach out to me as well. I'm available at membership at 33rdpta.org, and there's my cell phone number there. I'll also, starting in the fall, will also renew my open office hours, so you can always reach me that way. And I again will be providing monthly communication and little mini trainings. So thank you again so much for your effort, for your time, for your energy, for lending your skills and your love to PTA, and for stepping up and being a leader. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.